Real JP Multimedia, proud sponsor of the Nerdball podcast. Here to help you with all things audio, video, graphics, photo, web design. From weddings to real estate, commercial business to private use, we offer a big variety of services for almost any budget. And if we can't do it, we will find someone who can. Find us at realjp.com. That's REELJP.com. Real JP Multimedia.
Thank you for downloading this episode of the Nerdball podcast. I'm finally back. Month of June was difficult, and hopefully I'll be back for a multitude of episodes until next June. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of things happening. Kids baseball, kids softball, opening of a brand new park, Glass City Metro Park downtown. A lot of stuff was happening. So I'm excited to be back. Again, as always, this podcast is sponsored by Fort Meigs CrossFit. I am not obviously at their place, but I'm still gonna, shout them out because they have always helped me, and I have always been in their studio, or I call it a studio, but been in their office, to record my episodes. But I'm here in my basement right now. But if you need to know anything about them, check out fortmeigscrossfit.com. My guest today was on super short notice. I just texted him about 2 hours before we podcasted, but he was able to come on. Had a great episode, and I can't wait for you all to listen.
I'm Evan Bauer. It's the Nerdball podcast.
This is the Nerdball podcast with Lorenzo Melcher.
All right, Evan, thanks for coming on the podcast. The apparently very elusive Evan, trying to get you on the podcast for a few weeks. Although, to your benefit, to give you some credit, I do text you like 2 days prior and seeing if you could.
Yeah, with Kenya's work schedule too. I mean, it's just random every week, so you never know when she's going to be working. So
yeah,
it's understandable that it took us a little bit of time to finally get it right.
That's all right, man. But I appreciate you sticking with me and be able to come on. Actually texted you, so this is even worse because I texted you today.
3 hours
hey, can you
ago.
come on? I thought about it because I know you're a big NBA fan. I thought about, well, it'd be cool. Maybe tomorrow night might be cool because the start of free agency tomorrow. Right. But tonight works out all right too. Before we get into all that other stuff, what is something? Is there something you've been nerding out about lately? Something you've been really into? Something that I don't know, either it's a new or old thing, just something that kind of gets you out of the daily grind.
Yeah, actually, like Kenya and I have been venturing into wine.
Oh, really?
I've never been a wine person, but we went to Cooper's Hawk not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
And we did like the flights. I don't know if you've been there, but they do like flights where you get 4 different wines for $20.
Okay.
And I just told him, like, give me something sweet. I don't like dry wine.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'm gonna like any of them. And she brought me out 4 different sweet wines, and I liked every one of them. And I was like, all right, well, this might be something. So actually,
oh no.
So yeah.
What triggered that? It's just something new.
We just like I said, we just went there for dinner one night because she's been there a few times. And I was like, yeah, we can go there. I don't really do wine though. And then I just told him, like, I said, if I'm gonna drink it, it's got to be sweet. She's like, I'll give you like our 4 sweetest wines. And yeah. So now anytime we go to Kroger, I stop in that aisle, like, let me see what they have. Not knowing anything about wine, just kind of adventuring.
You need like liquid candy, basically.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, man. I don't do a lot of it. Andrea does, and she always gets Moscato, which is very sweet.
Yep.
And I don't know a lot about wine either, man. I usually don't drink wine, but I'm the same way. It's got to be sweet. It reminds me. I went out to dinner. This was a long time ago, but I went out to dinner. It was me and Andrea and my sister and her husband at the time, and he orders wine. And there's like, I think there's like 8 of us there, but he orders wine, and they bring him wine. They bring him the whole bottle. They like show him the bottle. They like look at it. They pop the cork, puts a tiny bit in a wine glass. He like swishes it around, smells it, does a little taste, and it looks at the waiter, just like nods his head and then pours or whatever. I'm like, man, I would have not known what to do. I'd have been like, all right, well, you filled up a little bit. Like, can you give me like the rest of the wine here? Like,
is that all I get?
yeah. It like blew me away like that. I mean, I know there's people like that, but no one in the history of my circle has ever been like, swirl it around, smell it.
Right.
Yeah.
Me ordering wine is like somebody who's never been to Starbucks. Like, I get so nervous. I'm like, I don't know what to order. I'm just here.
You have to be like, hey, let me get a large wine. Can I get a large?
Yeah. Right.
Have you been have you been a big drinker to begin with? Or was it just
no? I mean,
really?
and even with this, like, I don't even have like a glass a night or anything like that. It's kind of just random nights. I'll be like, all right, let me pop that bottle open.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of just been something new that I've been just trying different things, and I don't buy like $60 bottles. I buy the little $15 bottles, and they taste fine to me.
Oh yeah, man. I've gotten those $3 bottle wines from Aldi, and those are still pretty good. So
no shame in your game.
That Aldi wine, man, yeah, man. Hey, it all to me, it all tastes the same. They've even had, and this isn't wine, but it's like tequila or vodka when they have those competitions. And sometimes that gut rot stuff wins things because you just can't tell the difference,
Right.
So
yeah.
I'm sure there are
certain people. So I mean, I've been super busy with basketball.
Yeah.
I coached AAU this year for the first time ever.
Yeah, how was that, man?
It was interesting. Yeah. It's a different kind of coaching. And I respect the people that do it, but it was definitely different than what I'm used to. Coaching at the high school level, there's just like a certain like way you run things, and it seems like in AAU I was the only coach that still coached that way. Like, AAU coaching is just different. And I liked it. I had a great group of kids. We won some tournaments. I think everybody improved a lot. And that's the ultimate goal, is that when they leave you, because you practice twice a week for 90 minutes each time, then you go to these tournaments. My only goal was that everybody leave with one or two things that they can take with them when they go back to their high school or their junior high.
Yeah.
Something that they learned from me. And I think I did a pretty good job of that. And that was like my ultimate goal. Obviously, you want to win, but that's not goal number one. Number one is that they improve so that they can take that on as they continue their career. But it was fun though. A lot of time, a lot more time than I thought it would be. So when I heard like twice a week practices, I'm like, oh, this is gonna be cake.
Yeah.
But then when you go to these tournaments and you're playing 2 games a day, and some of them are in Cincinnati, some of them are in Cleveland, even the ones like at Cedar Point. So like we played at Cedar Point, we played at 4:00 in the afternoon, which sucked for our first game. But then our next game wasn't until 8:00, and it was at Norwalk High School. So I got to drive to Norwalk, and then I booked a hotel at like right by Cedar Point, because I'm like, oh, I'm not driving back if we play at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, we played at 10 a.m., but it was at Lorraine High School, and I'm like, this is not a Cedar Point tournament anymore. Like, I'm in Cleveland, but that's the kind of stuff that you kind of get with it too. The travel kind of wears you down. So like, I was happy that the season was over when it was, because I kind of needed to settle back into like my high school coaching. We just finished, like, basically June is a big time for us. Because that's when you have like all your shootouts and
all the different little practices and stuff too. Yeah.
So we did 5 different shootouts in June, on top of open gym the other 4 days a week. So I mean, we went 5 days a week all June, as well as hosted 2 kids camps. I mean, so it's been busy.
You know who I bet loves all that though? Your son,
Julian.
He loves all that.
Absolutely. Yep. And he's been doing different camps and stuff, so it's been fun.
Good. I want to go back to when you mentioned like you were like the only coaching or the only coaching the way you were. Did you?
Mm-hmm.
How did the parent? Because I think kids are fine, but I think it's the
Mm-hmm.
parents who have to change. Like, did you feel the parents any different, or how did they take or understand what you were trying to do?
So in conversations with all the parents, like it seemed like they all liked the way that I coached.
Mm-hmm.
And it was different from a lot of what they've seen. Most of them said that they want me to coach their kid again next year. So that's a good feeling, like
Yeah,
when the parents openly want you back.
yeah,
Um, so I think it was like a good feel from them. And like I said, I think it was just different than what they're used to expecting when they sign their kid up for AAU. Because not to like toot my own horn, I don't want to sound like arrogant or big headed, but I just coach the way that I've always been taught. I
yeah,
don't like flip the way I coach because I'm coaching AAU or because we only practice twice a week. You just gotta kind of dumb it down. It's like in at Northview, we'll practice every day doing the same defensive drill. Well, in AAU, I only got 90 minutes twice a week to do something. And we play a tournament, so
yeah,
we can't do 30 minutes of defensive drills and then go into 30 minutes of offense and then 30 minutes of like shooting. Like we don't have time for all these different things. You kind of gotta do short little stints of everything and hope that some of it sticks with the kids and they understand what you're looking for
mm-hmm.
in those times. So like the drills that we do for 30 minutes at Northview might only be 10 minutes at
Yeah,
AAU practice. And then I'm just hoping that they understood what my vision is or what I'm looking for out of that.
yeah. How how'd you get? How'd you decide like, hey, I'm going to coach this team, or did you get picked? Did someone ask you? How did that happen?
Yeah, so the owner of Jumpstart, his name's Alex Geisel. He reached out to me. We had never met prior to me coaching there,
Mm-hmm.
but we've been Facebook friends for like probably 8 years, just because it was like one of those like, oh, this guy coaches basketball, I coach basketball, and we
Yeah.
became Facebook friends and kind of just followed each other through that. Same with like Twitter and Instagram and all that. And he reached out to me in like January and was like, "Hey, I have a really good seventh grade group. We're looking for a good coach, um, and we had you in mind because he runs the organization with Lamar Rice, who's he played overseas. He's a big time basketball trainer in Toledo.
Mm.
Um, so he kind of just said, "Hey, I got this group that I really want you to coach," and so I kind of had to weigh my options because I was coaching junior high track at Arbor Hills.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I had to decide between those two, and I just figured the weather always sucks during track. Basketball, the weather never matters, and it's my passion. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoy track, but basketball is where I want to be. So any chance to kind of be the head man again,
Mm-hmm.
because I've taken a back seat as an assistant at the high school level. It's nice to kind of be back in charge for that little bit of time.
Dude, I feel you on that. I know we've had discussions about that where it was when I was a head freshman football coach. It's fun to like run your team, and
Mhm.
and the way it was set up, the way it's set up at Perrysburg, it's because freshmen don't drive, they can't get to the field to
Mhm.
practice on the turf. So all the varsity kids go there, and then the freshmen are just by themselves at the
Yep.
high school. So you're literally there by yourself, running your own practice, doing your own thing, and then you do all this, and I'm sure you feel the same way. You do all this because you do want to be on a varsity staff in some capacity,
Mhm.
right? So when that eventually happened, it was a no brainer. Like, yeah, I want to do this, but you lose that part of being in charge.
Yeah.
And for football, it's different than basketball. For football, I'm still in charge of my guys, right? My tight ends.
Mhm.
I'm still in charge of that, but I don't do game stuff. So I miss that part of it. But what helps for me is I was doing JV for a while. So, I was still running that there. And my job, I'm also in charge of running parks. So I still get that
Mhm.
feeling there. But it is once
Right.
it's gone, uh, you're like, man, you want it back because it is like a good feeling to have. Just a cat.
But no, and that was one of the big things when I made the decision to go as a varsity assistant. He told me, like, I want you to be my assistant. He's like, but if you want to continue to coach JV, like, I understand that too. So it took me a good week or so to make my decision because I didn't want to like have a knee-jerk reaction and say, no, I don't want to lose my team, or yes, I want to move up, and then be like, dang, I made the wrong decision. So it took a lot of talking with Kenya, with Noah, with some good friends that have followed me, like on my basketball, like, I guess, coaching career, just to see what they thought. And it was really one of those things that when I made the decision, initially I was like, this is going to be hard. Like, I'm not in charge of like the team, but it is my only team. And that's where I got, like, once we got to the season, it was like, okay, before I had JV, who I really obviously really cared about, and then I had varsity, who I had to shift my focus, win or lose, and be able to coach. Because in football, for like when you're coaching freshman or JV, you don't play the varsity game till the next day, so you can get fired back up. But if you lose a JV basketball game, you got to get your head straight to go
in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, you got 10 minutes once you come out of that locker room to get yourself ready. But my point being, when I only had the varsity to look forward to, it felt like that's all I had. Like, you know what I mean? Like my passion was still there. It wasn't like, well, if we lose it, it's not because I didn't do anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like it. But yeah, it did feel good to be back in charge, though. And I love my role at Northview. Like, we've had some great years. So I feel like every decision I've made so far has been the right one. So hopefully continue down that path.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's always a comforting feeling to whenever you do make any decision. It feels like it's, at the very least, it didn't change much or anything,
right?
But at least that means you're not going backwards. So everything's forward. Everything either there's no steps or there's steps forward. So that it makes you feel, like then you will. I feel like you will make more decisions as opposed to putting stuff off. Like, all right, well, I'm still progressing here. This is the way it should be. But
well, and the nice thing about it too is, like, being his lead assistant, I have so many different things that I'm in charge of. So, like, in game, he's the one calling the plays and stuff, but it's been all the preparation that myself and him have put together. Because, like, if we play Perrysburg on Friday, and we play Anthony Wayne on Tuesday, when the game ends on Tuesday against Anthony Wayne, I'm handing him 3 or 4 scouting reports on Perrysburg. Like, here you go. Here's everything about them. That way he doesn't have to focus on them ahead of schedule. He can focus on the opponent in front of us, and I can kind of be the one to say, all right, now that we're past them, here's what you need to focus on. So and I've talked to some coaches in the area, and they're like, man, like, we don't have assistants like that. Like, I'm doing most of the prep work, which sucks.
Well, part of that too is, and not every coach, but part of that too is some coaches don't want to let go of stuff. Like, it's like they need to control everything and do everything. Maybe some coaches don't trust their coaches to do it. Not necessarily I'm sure coaches will do a good job, but is it at the level that the head coach wants? And if it's not going to be, then he's going to do it himself. So a lot of it, I think a lot of it is putting trust in your assistants to say, like, okay, I need you to do X, Y, and Z. And if they do it, good. All right, cool. Thank you. If they don't do it to their liking, well, then tell them, like, all right, well, this is great, but I would like next time, can you give me, you gave me one sheet on this, actually, can you expand on that? I'm looking for more, or whatever. It takes a good head coach to basically tell their assistant exactly what they need and then let them do it. And then, that's how you guys grow. Right.
Well, and I'm sure at first my scouting reports probably weren't as thorough as he would want, or but he's not afraid to be like, hey, can you, when you do these, focus more on this, or
Yeah.
so, and you need that. That's how you build that trust with your staff. You want guys and girls that understand exactly what you want, so that you're not just throwing darts in the dark hoping to
Yeah.
hit something. Like, so
Yeah,
I feel like that.
that's how you get better too, right?
Yeah,
If you're just
exactly.
doing the same stuff, you're just assuming like, okay, this is what he wants. But in the meantime, he's over
Hmm.
there cussing you out under his breath
He's
because
saying, "What the heck is this? What am I supposed to do with this?"
yeah. Have you noticed something that you're like on in a game day or game night? Is there
Hmm.
something you're particularly good at or that you notice better than anybody else? Like, have you noticed anything?
So we at Northview, we pride ourselves, like our big, like, I guess, factor is that we'll never be out prepared.
Mm,
So we might get out coached in games, but I feel like our preparation is better than anybody in the area. Because like I said, going into any given game, um, we have 4 scouting reports before we've even left the floor against
mhm,
our previous opponent.
mhm.
And then after that, he goes and watches another 4 games on them, like 4 different games. And our other assistant watches another 2 or 4 games. Like, so we have essentially, like, when we're in mid-season, we'll watch 10 games of Perrysburg before we play them,
Yeah.
just so that we know that we're more prepared. So I feel like, to answer your question, just like the preparation factor, as far as like if a team calls out a play, where I'm able to be like, hey, you got to get through that screen over there. Like, this is what they're doing
Yeah.
on this play. So like I can tell you, like, specifically Anthony Wayne and Perrysburg are on a lot of sets. I could tell you 10 plays each of theirs right now and exactly what happens on the plays, because I've done the scouting report on it so much.
Dude, it was wild to me. The very first game I saw, like when you were, or one of the first games I saw when you were on varsity, and
Mm-hmm.
I was watching you because I know you, and Coach Boyce would do his hand gestures or whatever, call the plays,
Yep.
and you immediately were just shouting what they were. And then my head, first thing I thought in my head is like, why does Coach Boyce just keep like, I feel like there's a different way to call the play, so you can't. It's not like you're across the field. He's
Right.
behind you on
Yeah.
depending on which way you're going. Like he could just turn his back and not show you guys,
That's
but he's putting
that's
it up
what
and you're
Anthony
just
Wayne
yelling
does.
like what? Yeah,
Yeah.
you're just yelling what it is. I'm like, oh my god,
Yep.
that
Yep.
was
And
wild. It was wild.
some coaches might do, like, because I know, like, with us, we're like, yeah, you can know our plays, but can you stop it?
Yeah.
Because, like, for our plays specifically, like, we have 4 or 5 actions out of every single set that we run.
Mm-hmm.
So you might take away the first or second, but did you have the third or fourth scouted?
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want to miss that slip to the basket where we get an easy layup.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's what he's doing too. But it was just so funny to me, just like every time he does whatever, you're just yelling it. Uh-oh, did you lose me? Oh no. Hold, please. There you go.
All right. Here we
Okay.
go. Now we're back.
All right.
Sorry, I didn't
No,
hear what you said after what I last said.
no, I was just saying it was just like you were talking about the different sets and actions
Hmm.
you have off that. And I'm assuming that's what a lot of coaches do. So even when Coach Boyce is
Hmm.
yelling it out there, but it was just wild to me, like every time he did something, because
Yeah.
one thing I try to do, and we have volunteer coaches who do it too, um, is always try to get the other team signals when they're signaling plays on a
Hmm.
Friday night, and they do it. I had 2 guys last year that did it really well for JV, and the coaches would get so mad, and I'm like, I don't have nothing to do with the defense anymore, but it was just so fun because they pride themselves on like trying to steal their
Hmm.
signals, and it makes me laugh because the coaches get upset about it, and I
I would say that that's
do
the
better.
big thing. We've had some coaches in our league that have, like, voiced their, like, frustrations with us looking down at their bench when they're calling plays. Like,
What?
that's part of the game. What do
Yeah,
you
I don't
want me
understand.
to?
Yeah, why would
So,
you be
like,
upset? I don't understand why you'd be upset about that.
yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
part of the game. Call your plays, like, and call a timeout and say, first play we're going to run this, second play that, if you want to hide it that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, That's your only other option at this point.
Yeah, man, that's funny. I'm in my basement. I thought somebody was knocking on the door. Mateo's been down here playing a lot of MLB The Show lately,
Yeah.
and he likes me watching them. But he told me, and I don't know what set it is. He told me where he made it real easy, and he just smokes home runs all the time. So he's like, "Dad, I finally made it in the majors." I'm like, "Yeah, because you every pitch is a strike."
Got it on rookie.
Yeah, he was. I think today he was 4 for 5 with 4 home runs.
Oh
I'm like, how do you even get out? I don't know how you get out in this case. All he does is
That's
hit.
awesome.
He simulates everything, even his fielding. Yeah, he just all he does is wants to hit. So
that's funny. Who's he play with?
The Guardians. Yeah. Mateo Melcher, number. I don't even know what his number is, but he says for whatever reason it changes. He goes, "Dad, my number changes every game I play." I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I don't know."
Every game?
He's like, one time I'm 23, one time I'm 27. I go, "I don't know, man. I think maybe you're losing. I don't know what's going on there, man."
They're giving seniority. They're giving it to the guys who've been there.
Yeah, so just someone else random.
Guys coming up from the AAA.
My dad, we were talking, speaking of video games, I was talking to my dad about that, and because I play Fortnite with some guys from work, and a buddy from high school will play every once in a while on a Friday night, and he goes, at first I thought it was like weird that you guys played like video game, like you guys are almost 40 and you're playing video games. He goes, but that's how you guys grew up. Like you grew up playing video games. So he goes, I shouldn't expect you to not play it anymore.
Yeah.
I told him, I was like, I definitely play it less, but it's still fun.
Right.
I know you're busy too, but do you play video games at all, or are you into video games?
Yeah. So I still have a PlayStation 4 because I was like, I'm not paying for that PS. But yeah, I play 2K, Madden, Call of Duty, MLB The Show.
Did Julian play?
He plays 2K, Minecraft, and Hello Neighbor. He's really good at 2K, but he plays on like whatever the second level is. I need to get him up to the next level, but one game he had like 90 with Curry.
Yeah, I played with Mateo. Mateo got in it was when the NBA playoffs were going on, and he got in a little groove where he wanted to play NBA 2K. So I was the all-time Spurs, and he was all-time somebody else, and I had like 90 some with Danny Green.
With Danny Green,
I don't know, just how it happened. He was hot, I guess, that night.
one game during the playoffs, we were playing with the Nuggets because that's when the Nuggets were rolling.
Yeah,
and we were playing together, and Jokic had, I think it was like 45 points, 40 rebounds, and 32 assists. It was like insane.
Oh my gosh.
Julian was like, "That's a triple double, right?" I'm like, "That's like he's going for a quadruple."
Yeah, that's a triple. Yeah. I know obviously you're a big Lakers fan, and we were talking about the NBA playoffs. Do you watch a lot? Like once the Lakers are done, are you done, or you watch everything?
No, I watch everything still. Yeah. Just being a fan of the NBA.
Yeah.
Especially with how the Nuggets were playing. I mean, the Lakers in that series, they got swept 4-0, but that was a series that could have easily been 3-1 Lakers if they play better in the last 4 minutes of each game.
Ryan Russillo on his podcast with Bill Simmons, they kept saying the whole time, like the Lakers are, even after they lost, they're like they were the second best team in the whole playoffs. It's just how it worked out.
But yeah, I watch basically every night, unless something's going on, whether the Lakers are in or not. And then Kenya's a Heat fan, so we were definitely tuned in to the finals. We were hoping we would get a rematch from 2020.
Oh yeah. How is that? Because my wife isn't a huge sports fan, so she just likes the teams I like. But how is that when you guys are just like
so she's
against
not,
each other?
So she's super competitive, but when it comes to like our sports team, she's not. So I don't know if that makes sense. So like when it comes to like her individual like competition, she's super competitive.
Okay.
But like when we beat the Heat in 2020, I was talking all that trash, and she like just didn't care. It's like, come on, like give me something back, like fire back.
Man, so she treated you like a kid, man. Just like you get no satisfaction from it. So eventually you just stop. Like
Yep. I was like, well, at least we won the title, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's not like into baseball like that, but she'll like teams that she knows I hate. Like she likes the Yankees because she knows I hate the Yankees.
Are you a Tigers
Um,
fan?
yeah, I
Yeah.
just
Okay.
don't like the Yankees just
Yeah.
because of who they
Well, I
are.
don't like the Yankees either. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're 100 right.
so I mean, she'll do that, but she's a huge Steelers fan,
Hmm.
huge Heat fan, and then college basketball she just kind of watches to watch, but college
I
football she'll root
yeah.
for Ohio State, but she's not really like into it.
I don't know a lot of women like in my life that like my
Mm,
sisters aren't huge. Like if Cowboys are on, they'll cool, we'll watch them, you know.
mm,
But there's just even well, my one sister, my youngest sister, turned into a Steelers fan at some point. I don't know what happened, but she just
mm,
stopped liking the Cowboys. But and my wife, there's not like super into team. Like they like
mm.
sports and they'll watch the teams because I like them. The only person that's super into it is my mother-in-law. She
Yeah,
loves it, but
she's
it's
a
just the
Bills fan, right?
oh my god, and
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
super into that, man. Like that's the only one I've ever like around my circle like that I know
That's
like hey
crazy.
every Sunday she has to watch the game, or
Right.
Monday or whatever whenever they're playing. Like she has to be there watching it, and
Yep.
it's during playoffs like mostly because I have nothing to root for because the Cowboys always get fucking bounced. But I love like be going over there just taking videos of her because it's it's so
I've seen some
intense.
of them
Oh my
on
god, dude.
Facebook.
And then Andrea's older sister is starting to get really into it too. So now
Mm,
there's two of them, and
right.
it just makes it like I want them to win because they're my family and I want them to be happy. But
Mm,
it's so like so intense. Sometimes it's a
right.
little too intense over there. Yeah.
Yeah. So Kenya with like Ohio State football is like how everybody else in your family is. Like she like roots for us, but if we lose, she's like, "Oh, that stinks." Like,
Yeah.
but the Steelers and the Heat lose, and she's like pretty salty about it. Like,
Yeah.
especially the Steelers. Like she knows more about like players in the NFL than I do. She keeps up with her fantasy way more than I do,
Yeah.
which is probably why she always is better than me. But like she'll be like, did you pick up this guy off waivers? I'm like, I've never even heard of the guy. She's like, oh, he got 18 carries this week, and they're saying he's gonna get 26 this week, and I'm like, what the? But during the season, she legit listens to channel 87 on XM, which is
Yeah.
like the fantasy channel, the entire time she
I don't know
drives. Like,
anybody who listens to that.
oh my god. She said, don't tell him my business. But yeah, she's a beast at fantasy. Like she's in
Yeah.
the playoffs every single year. She hasn't won it, but she's in there.
Damn. Yeah, that's a it's cool. I mean, I love sports so much, and I'm just glad like that Andrea doesn't like teams that or like doesn't like teams that would be against my teams. Like it kind of just
Mm,
she didn't like basketball really, and she followed football somewhat, and that doesn't really like baseball. So it's just like morphed into mine, which makes life a
just
lot easier.
supports you.
Yeah, and now Mateo's like that the same way, likes all the sports I like. The
Yeah.
only one that's kind of rogue is our daughter because
Is she?
her whole life has been rogue, but
Yeah.
she's I think she's going to be a Bills fan just because she
Mm,
likes that chaotic environment. She likes that
mm,
excitement. She wants to be a part of all that. And when we watch Cowboys games, we don't get that way. Like we just
right.
watch them and I will be excited or we'll be happy or whatever, But she
But
loves it
not
over
like
there
screaming
because
at your TV and
yeah, she loves that though. She's like, they have rituals they do over there. Like
yeah.
my mother-in-law has this Josh Allen candle, like those big
Oh
tall
my
Catholic
God.
candles, and they light they get
No,
in a
she
circle,
doesn't.
get in a
No, she
circle,
doesn't.
hold hands, and
No,
then
she doesn't.
they say whatever, and then they light the candle every game day.
That's
Dude, dude, they have this during the beginning of the football season. There's a little
that's a,
buffalo. You're crying. During the season, she has a
like a little
Buffalo
claim.
Bills shrine that she puts all these little things on or whatever.
Oh
And
my
yeah,
God,
dude,
that's
it's
hilarious.
so I'm not part of the circle. My
That's a
father-in-law
little
is,
cult right there.
dude. My father-in-law is
Uh,
part of the circle. I don't know. I think he's reluctantly part of the circle because he doesn't even like get up from the couch. They have to walk to him, and he just puts his hand up and they hold his hand.
oh
I got to
man, that's
film it. I got
funny.
to film it next season.
Dude, that's great.
but it's fun.
Yeah,
I like sports that much. Like it's cool to see that, you know.
right.
Yeah.
The only teams that we kind of root for together are Ohio State, but like I said, like when they lost to Georgia, she was just like, "All right, what's next?" While I'm sitting on the couch, like,
Can we get a late night dinner?
yeah. And then we both root for the Dallas Wings because our friend plays for them
Oh yeah.
in the WNBA. Yeah,
Oh nice.
one of Kenya's high school teammates,
What's her name?
Natasha Howard.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
she
well, she's really
graduated the
good too,
year
right?
after me. Yeah, yeah. She
Yeah.
was the number 5 pick in the draft
Yeah.
in what year would that been? 2014.
Okay.
She's won a defensive player of the year.
Yeah.
She won most improved player. She's got 3 championships. Um, and this year she's averaging like 17 points and 9 rebounds. So she's having a good year. They're struggling a little bit, but they're just they're pretty much brand new. Like they brought a lot of new bodies in, including her.
Mm.
They're starting 3 centers.
Really?
They start 2 guards and 3 centers. She's playing small forward. She's 6'3". So like for a woman, that's
Mm-hmm.
big.
Yeah.
And then their power forward is 6'4", and then their center is 6'8". Like they're huge.
Yeah.
But all 3 of them, like before they got there, all 3 of them were centers.
Well, as long as you can move, right? Though.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
she's athletic enough that she's serviceable on the arc. Like she's shooting like 32% from 3, which isn't horrible.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so it's been
Nice.
fun to watch her kind of evolve her game because before she was just kind of like a back
Yeah.
to the basket
Yeah.
or pick and roll. Now she's playing more exclusively like coming off of screens and having to make her own offense.
I
It was actually cool. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
On Twitter today, I don't know who the person was. They had posted like something about people with great footwork in the WNBA, and it was all her. Like
Oh,
they had
really?
an entire tweet that was like a minute and a half long of her great footwork.
Yeah.
I was like, that's pretty cool.
That is cool. Yeah. I got into the women's basketball tournament, the NCAA women's basketball
Yeah,
tournament, because what's her name from Iowa?
Clark, Caitlin
Yeah.
Clark.
Yeah. So I got into that, and then obviously because of
Zaya.
Zaya Cook too.
Mm-hmm.
And then so I just think it's cool, like because it doesn't happen a lot when people do like well from the Toledo area. Like it's just a cool thing, and to be able to see, and then she got drafted in the top 10, so that was
Right.
cool too. It's just like, man, like it and it happened so fast. I feel like I was talking to my dad, I'm like, hey, did you hear this girl from Rogers? She's like in ninth grade, and she's the best player everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and and then you got Anderson is fighting at the Huntington on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't know if you ever saw those pictures. I met him because
no, I didn't see that.
Yeah, they did a press conference. This was probably 6 weeks ago. They did a press conference
Mm-hmm.
at Glass City Metro Park. So I went up there just to make sure they had everything needed, and then I stayed because I wanted to see what it was all about. It was like a live broadcast and everything, and they were talking, and all kinds of people were there, um and at the end, I went up to him, and there was a photographer there that always does Metro Park stuff, and he's been on my podcast too. His name's Doug Heinball, and I was like, hey, can you take a picture of me and Jared Anderson? He's like, yeah. So I went up there, got a picture of them, and it's pretty cool. But the same thing, like just like you were saying, like from this area, and then now it's just a huge boxing event, and
yeah, I mean,
in Toledo.
If he wins that, they're saying the rumor is that he'll get a title fight.
Oh, really?
And like he's a heavyweight, like one of those could be Tyson Fury. Like,
oh yeah,
I'm just thinking of like that. Like, think about he could be fighting Tyson Fury, who to me is the best boxer I've seen. I don't watch a lot of boxing, but he's one that I tune into when he fights because he's kind of like the Conor McGregor of boxing, where it's like this guy just is entertaining. Like it's like must see TV.
I heard I could be wrong, but someone told me that he used to be a sparring partner with Tyson Fury.
I would believe it.
Yeah. But it's a cool thing. Actually, Saturday here in Toledo, I mean, by the time this episode comes out, it would have already happened. But July 1st, there's so much stuff happening. Like there's that
Oh my God, so
the
much.
Italian
Yeah.
bowl, dude. Randomly, they
Yeah,
were
whatever.
also they also had a press conference at my park, so I went up there and was able to talk to that. They had a whole contingent of people from Italy, in there for the press conference, and they like there was like 10 hats or 8 hats on a table of all different teams, and everyone walked out, and I'm like, did they forget? Did they forget these hats? That'd be sweet. And then someone came in and scooped them all up and left. Like, oh man, that would have been awesome to have all these hats.
Right.
So yeah, the Italian Bowl is at the Glass Bowl where UT plays, and that boxing match, and then the fireworks at night.
And the fireworks,
yeah, man, it's a busy Saturday there here.
Not only Anderson's fighting, then a Toledo firefighters on that card too, DeAndre Ware.
Oh yeah, he was at the press conference too.
Yeah, he's fighting as well.
Yeah,
Kenya knows him from work, obviously.
Are you guys going?
No, Kenya works on Saturday. So
oh man,
I told her, because like the firefighters always come up with tickets to everything, like for free, that they like ask other firefighters if they want. Like she asked me, somebody had Italian Bowl tickets. I'm like, I'm not wasting a babysitter on that. I was like, if you can't go and it's the Italian Bowl, I'm save that for a day that it's something that I really want to do. I said, but if you can get boxing tickets, then maybe I'll use that babysitter card.
Yeah. You could take him, go for a quarter or a half and take off.
That's true.
I don't know. I'm anticipating not a sellout, so I think you're right.
And so I heard that they gave every Buckeye cable customer 4 free tickets.
Really?
I don't think the Glass Bowl can hold that many people, can it?
They're papering the room for a football game
with people that nobody's ever heard of. It's weird.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
I don't know. I'd like to talk to someone and figure out how this happened, because it is like a weird thing. Like,
so I heard that somebody that is like higher up there, like for that league or whatever, is from this area. So he's trying to like promote it here and make it kind of like a thing.
Okay.
Who's gonna watch that when it's not in Toledo?
Yeah.
Like, the XFL can't take off. How is the Italian Football League gonna? Like, the XFL lost $68 million this year. You think
really?
Italian? Yeah.
Oh my God.
I saw something. It was like the Rockets had a rough couple years because they said Black Adam tanked, the XFL tanked, and then something else tanked. I was like, oh God.
I don't know. He's a bajillionaire. I'm sure he'll find his way.
Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah,
he'll be all right.
Man, but speaking of that, reminded me one of my friends, George. We both share of he hates him more than, I don't even know if he hates him, but he dislikes Bert Kreischer more than I do. But I also don't really like Bert Kreischer that much. Like, I can tolerate him when it's him and Tom Segura on their Two Bears podcast.
Yeah.
But if it's just Bert Kreischer and somebody else, I don't listen to it, because it's just it just turns into Bert Kreischer's podcast. But he my friend George texted me and was like, well, I guess there's a ending to this fake Russia story eventually, because he just lost a bunch of money on his movie. So
oh my God, why do you make a movie?
he made that out of that whole Russian story. He made a movie. I think I remember my friend said they spent X amount of money and didn't even make it back yet. Wow. So
that's bad. Oh, I know. Their other thing that The Rock tanked was Fast 10.
Oh, well, yeah, because it's. Well, what do you think?
They went to space. They went to space in Fast 9. What happened to those movies being about racing cars? What happened?
I only saw the first one, which I liked. It was cool, because it was such a different thing. But
I watched up to 8 just because I was like, I've seen them all. I got to keep going. And then 9, I saw the preview. They were going to space, and I was like, "That's it. I'm done. I can't do this anymore."
Dang, no, I remember watching the first one in the Mommy Theater. That's now a giant church.
Oh yeah.
Saw it there, and when people were leaving the parking lot, when people were leaving the parking lot, just squealing and burning tires. I'm like, all right, you're driving your mom's van. Let's calm down here.
I got a caravan in here.
Yeah, man.
No, to me, 1 and 2 were really good. 3 was awful because they went with a whole new cast. It wasn't even like Paul Walker and them. That's when they tried to like make Bow Wow stay popular. And they had
was that after he dropped the Lil and he just became Bow Wow?
Yes. Yep. But it also had, so the main character was the quarterback from Friday Night Lights movie, Mike Winchell.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was the main character, but he's playing a high school kid, and that was after Friday Night Lights, I'm pretty sure. This dude was like 24 playing a high school kid, and it had one of the kids from Home Improvement. He looked like he was about 30.
And then
Yeah.
I don't even remember. I couldn't even tell you like the any of the other ones. This clip I always see though, they said it was like an ad lib and they kept it in the movie. It was so, God, who was it? Tyrese. He was drinking, he was like at a cookout or whatever, and he took a sip of water and the Rock comes in or he yells to the Rock like, you better hide your baby oil. And the Rock yells, you better hide your big ass forehead. And it always makes you laugh. It makes me laugh more because they said it's an ad lib and it wasn't in the script.
Yeah. Right.
But yeah, I always see that on TikTok all the time.
Yep. Yeah, the franchise just got weird when the 5th one, because that's when they brought the Rock in, and then they just became action movies. It was like, okay, so these aren't even about cars anymore.
Yeah. But hey, so people were getting paid making those things.
I know.
So.
I know. I respect the grind.
One last thing that I while I was waiting to get online here, I was looking, and it's kind of a hard shift, but I want to talk about it. And so today, and I think it's probably kind of when I first met you. Today's when your dad passed away, right? And I saw Noah post something about it. I obviously I never met him, but can you speak a little bit about your dad? Like, do you and maybe you don't, and if you don't want to, you don't have to either. And that's fine. We can cut this all out. But if you want to, I just, like I said, I never met him, and I don't know like where he was with you or how your relationship was with him or any of that kind of stuff, because we all have different relationships with all our parents and they go up and down.
Right.
And but obviously he was your dad and he meant something to you at some point, whether it's the whole way through or not.
Yeah. So like early on in life, like growing up, he was kind of like how I am with Julian. Like he wanted him involved in all these sports. But never felt like he was like making me do anything. It was all like, these are your options. Do you want to do anything? And let me kind of pick and choose what I want to do. And that's kind of where I am with Julian.
Yeah.
Like my mom is always saying, you push him too hard, you push him too hard. And I'm like, I've literally never made Julian go to a basketball session, never made him play on a team, never done anything. This is all what he wants to do. He tells me like, hey, let's go to Northeast so I can put up shots.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how my dad was. He kind of just said like, hey, if you want to play baseball, here, I'll get you on a team. You want to play basketball, here's a team.
Yeah.
And so that was a lot of the memories that we shared early on was stuff like that, because he was one of my assistant coaches for basketball growing up, one of my assistant coaches for baseball growing up. So he was just always trying to be involved. And a lot of that, my mom and I were talking about it recently, is he was a type 3 diabetic. And for like the time that it was, his parents like thought like if he tried to play any sports, like he might die. Like they took it like the extreme.
Yeah.
So he didn't get to play a lot of stuff like growing up. So I think that was kind of huge for him, because he was such a sports like he loved sports so much.
Yeah.
That to see his kids get involved the way that we did was huge for him, because he never got to kind of live that. So seeing his kids still involved and loving trying different things was huge for him. Then just kind of like going through like high school and stuff, we were like cool, but it seemed like we kind of um weren't as like close as we were like when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And maybe and a lot of that was probably me being a
Well, yeah, I was gonna say,
teenage boy.
I feel like that's like a just a high school thing. Like,
Yeah,
some kids that relationship stays like that, but for the most part, it's just like you're just trying to figure yourself out, and like, not wanting to
yep,
deal with your parents or not, even if it's just like, hey, at the very little thing, hey, come eat, and you just get mad because they want you to come eat at
right.
this point. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
I think it's just part of growing up.
Yeah. So like once I went to BG, um my mom had moved away. She was living in Missouri at the time.
Okay.
So it was kind of just like at home it was just dad. So when I needed stuff, like it was, hey, let's go out to eat, or hey, can you help me with this? Like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, so he kind of like we kind of built that relationship back up, I feel like. And a lot of that was probably being away from home because I
Mhm.
stayed in BG. I didn't commute. So not really homesick, but just having that person there.
Yeah.
Um, and then once I graduated, it seemed like our relationship grew even more.
Yeah.
So like when I was in college, I would go home on weekends here and there just to see him. And he would like just teach me little things that I feel like I missed out on growing up. Like he would love to like cook out like on the grill and stuff. So when I would go home from college, I'd be like, "Hey, I'm gonna sit out here with you because I want to watch. Like, I want to learn this
Yeah.
because someday I'm gonna have a family and need to do this stuff myself." So little stuff like that are like good memories that always stick with me is him like teaching me because like everybody always said like he had world famous grilled chicken.
Yeah.
So like now like when I cook chicken, like my mom's like, "Dude, like this is just like how dad did it. Like it's
Nice.
crazy. Like because I listened to how he did it. He's like people always tell you like that it looks like you're burning your chicken. You want that little bit of black on there. Like so like little things like that just stuck with me. Like that in a normal just like conversation with somebody might just go in one ear not the other. That's one of those things that like kind of stick. So just after graduation, like I said, we kind of I feel like grew a little closer, and it was kind of that starting a family. He absolutely like adored Xavier, Julian, and Cam,
Mhm.
um, and that was one of like the hard things was knowing that like Julian and obviously Noah's boys too, and now Bryson at now that he's here, have to grow up without a grandpa, um, because like he absolutely like adored them and wanted to spend all of his time with them once they were here. Like it was like you guys are cool, but let me see the grandkids. Like
It's always like that now, man. Like,
yeah, yep.
but
I'm glad that you're great, but let me see the kids.
I know I know I wouldn't have it, any other way. Like
Hmm.
obviously you want that, and I think when you say, you said it's hard. Obviously it's hard for you, right? Because your
Hmm.
kids don't know any other way, but especially Bryson, like they're not gonna know any other way. But like, man, my dad, it'd have been cool. My dad would have been right here for this thing, or would have said this
Hmm.
about this, all that kind of stuff. And I think the best thing you can do is not you're gonna think those things, but also when your kids get older, I think it's good. It'll be good for you to audibly say these things, like just
Hmm.
because you're gonna talk about your dad. That's just the way it is. But
Right.
for them to understand like who he was, be like, yeah, if I would have done that, what you just did, Julian, my dad would have said X, Y, and Z, all this
Right.
stuff, right?
Right.
And good stuff too. Like, hey, after that
Yeah.
game, my dad would have taken me out for ice cream or whatever,
Yeah.
like I think it's important for that kind of stuff, which I'm sure you do that kind of stuff, but it's probably more internal than anything. But I've
Right.
I've done that with my kids. Like my kids have been blessed that both their sets of grandparents are still around, but they got to be
Hmm.
around for their great grandma. And she passed away a few years ago, and I talk about her like that too. Like, oh yeah, Gigi used to do this when I was a kid, or like
Yeah.
if I'm doing something with them, because it's just they might not think about it now because my kids are 11 and 9, but as they get older,
Right.
like those things keep happening, and it's just a memory that could grow into something more,
For sure.
Yeah.
And another one like it would have been like one of the later memories before he passed was Kenya and I were in Vegas. Shocking, right? We go there so much. This is actually one of our first times going because
God,
it would have been.
I'll let you finish your story about your dad, but I have no desire to go to Vegas whatsoever. I'm sure if I go one time, yes, I'm sure if I go one time, I'll be like, oh yeah, let's check it out. But yeah, it doesn't do anything for it. But go ahead, you can talk about
it. So he had Julian, and he was picking us up from the airport, and Julian was 1 at the time. So like Julian doesn't know what's going on. He's just chilling with grandpa at the airport, and our flight takes an emergency stop into Minnesota because they thought that we lost a wheel when we took off from the airport in Vegas. So I'm like, why are we landing early? Like, why don't we just keep going? And if we don't have a
land
wheel
anyway,
land, it is what it is. But so we get to Minnesota, and my dad's already in Detroit, and he's like, I'm like, hey, we had an emergency stop. Like, sorry if you already left the house. He's like, we're already here. And just it's just one of those things though. He was like, I don't know, maybe we'll go to one of the bars and have a beer. Like it was just one of those memories again that just stick with you, like corny dad jokes, like 101. Like but yeah, one of those things that like always sticks with me.
Yeah. Well, that's good, man. Well, we'll end on that. Thanks for talking about your dad, man. I know it's probably hard, and like I said, I never met him, but the way you guys, we make posts about him and talk about him, you and Noah, he sounds like a good dude and someone I wish I would have met. But I appreciate you talking about him. Appreciate you coming on the podcast on super short notice. I promise next time I'll try to give you more of a heads up when I want you to come on.
Fair.
But I gotta try I'm trying to get 4 done this weekend because I'm gonna be out of town next week, so I gotta fit these in. But thanks again, man. I always enjoy talking to you and enjoy seeing you out there on the basketball court. So we'll have to get together sometime soon.
Yes, sir. Sounds good.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, see you.
Thanks again to my guest Evan Bauer for coming on the podcast. I knew we were gonna talk about basketball because that's what he coaches, and that's what he likes to talk about, and I enjoy talking about it too. So we talked a lot about that. Obviously, the wine thing at the beginning was pretty cool too. It's always interesting. I love that question. I still really enjoy the question about what are you nerding out about, because I never know what people are going to say, and I definitely didn't think that getting into wine a little bit was going to be something we talked about. So it's such a cool lead off question, and obviously ending the podcast talking about his dad. I purposely had the let's get deep questions right here. I'm not lying, there right here. But I purposely didn't do it because I think we got pretty deep on just talking about his dad. So I appreciate him coming on and just talking about everything again on short notice. And again, appreciate him talking about his dad. I think it's important, especially if you keep people's memories alive. Just keep them going, keep them talking about them. And that's how everyone stays remembered. So I was gracious for him to talk about his dad. So I'm back, like I said at the top of this. I'm gonna try to keep hammering out episodes. Things are still busy at the park. Things are gonna get busy with football, but I'm gonna do my best. I'm close to 20,000 downloads if I haven't hit it by now, so I'm pretty excited about that. We got over 100 subscribers on YouTube. But please like and subscribe wherever you're listening. Trying to get those numbers up. I know taking a month off doesn't help, but I gotta do what I gotta do. So I'm excited to be back, and as always, thanks to Cuttlefish Graphics, Big Daddy Graphics, Perrysburg Junior High STEM Lab, and Real JP Multimedia for always helping out the podcast. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.